I spoke with Cheng Li. He is the director of the China Center at the Brookings Institution, a public policy organization here in Washington, D.C. I asked him if President Xi can find some common ground with his U.S. counterpart over trade issues, given Trump's concerns.
He has a legitimate reason in terms of the trade deficit because of $347 billion. Even, of course, Chinese dispute with that number because some of the products are really American companies in China, but still $200 billion. Now, what China wants to push is that you should open up your technology transfer. You should open up your some other, kind of exchanges with China. So I think the bottom line is there's some common need to avoid trade war.
So trade, obviously that's a matter of concern, but there are other issues, and we've seen the usual suspects through the 8 years of the Obama administration. I'll just tick off a few of them: South China Sea, DPRK, cybersecurity. Are these issues that are also going to be on the table, and can there be much headway there?
Well, certainly the summit will be dominated by nuclear proliferation along the Korean Peninsula. This is a fundamentally important issue. I think the United States and China, despite the differences in terms of strategy, in terms of tactics, in terms of the priority, in terms of the different interpretation of the consequences and the mindset of the Korean leader, there's one thing is really profoundly shared, is the nuclear free of Korean Peninsula. Now, in the other areas you just mentioned, certainly it's also very, very important. Cybersecurity is an important one. I think major powers, including United States, China, and to a certain extent Russia, we talk about these countries engage in some kind of espionage or attack, hike, but also we should not forget these countries are also victims, or potentially at least could be major victims. So the cooperation in these areas are equally important. Now, South China Sea is a seasonal issue, and it may not be on the top of the list. But of course, there's different perspectives, there's different concerns.
Let me ask you this about personal relationships, because so much has been made about sunny lands and this kind of a setting, producing a relationship between President Xi and President Obama. Clearly, this isn't Palm Springs, it's Palm Beach. But that's the kind of setting where you can actually get to know one another. How important is this relationship building for both of these leaders?
It's extremely important. The Confucius culture is surrounded with relationship. The most frequently used term in China is guanxi, which means connection, personal ties. This is not only in business, not only in any kind of socialization, but also reflects state leaders. So I think that I'm so glad that the meeting happened early enough, and that gives them an opportunity to exchange views. I think that the outside media, international media, emphasize their differences, but actually I should say there are a lot of similarities between these two leaders. Both of them are very ambitious, egoistic, nationalistic. For Xi Jinping, he wants to fulfill Chinese dream, which is mean to expand China's middle class. For Donald Trump, wants to make America great again. And both of them kind of do not play around with the previous kind of bureaucratic politics. They wanted to get things done. Sometimes, especially Donald Trump, even challenge regular institutional framework. Both of them are not particularly friendly with media. And there's some intellectuals in certain sectors of society have been very, very critical. But also both of them understand the linkage between domestic politics and international affairs. But most importantly, they all want to leave their mark in history and to improve their country's standing and to challenge some of the previous problem. In the case of anti-corruption in China, also Donald Trump is really want to change a lot in some of the way of the governance. So again, these people probably have more common language than we saw.